Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. And now, please give a warm welcome to your host, Brian Sparks!
It's as if they were really all here, wasn't it? All right, welcome to Silicon Valley Impact. I'm your host, Brian Sparks. The purpose of this show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses and communities so that you can make an impact in your own.
Brian, I just need to start by asking you, how you doing, man? I want to check in with you. It's been a while.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I have been overwhelmed. There's a lot of great news coming down the line for Silicon Valley Impact for 2025. So we'll be announcing those partnerships and collaborations and new guests, but we are taking it up a level, Brian. And then the other things.
Wait a second. That was a little bit of a teaser.
Yeah,
Am I getting that right?
Exactly what it is.
Because I heard a teaser, but I didn't hear what the tease actually was about. Can you give us any more information?
Nope, sorry.
So this huge cliffhanger for next week, maybe, or the week after?
It's coming, possibly the week after. If I said anything now, the men in black would burst through the door right now and rip the mics from our faces.
But fair. I want to keep the listeners engaged, that they know that something big is coming.
It's going to make an impact.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. Yeah.
All right.
The other thing is December 8th through the 10th, I'll be at Dana Point at the Opal event. It's a family office event. So if those of you who are interested in getting involved with Opal, which is a phenomenal network of people, I'll be chairing that event. So I'd love to see you all down in Dana Point. And Brian, I'm being put up in the Ritz. I'm kind of feeling myself a little bit.
Wow, you're getting big. I can see your head. I can see your head growing as we talk.
Just bring me down to earth.
Yeah,
we need Delia here. She was here last week. Great show. So catch that on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. With that being said, Brian, let's get to our two amazing guests today.
Okay.
Good to see you two, Haya and Lama. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
You had to do it. I love it.
I had to do it. Yeah.
You just blew my mind.
I should get everybody singing for me, right?
That's
we're
your
celebrating
theme
you.
music.
I meet somebody whose name is Haya. I think that we got to play Outcast. There's just no choice in the matter.
I love
No
it.
one gives you power. They give you authority.
And that's what I'm talking about, Brian.
Yeah, thank you. That from Margaret Jackson, words of wisdom. Haya, Lama, good to have you in the show. Both of you have a unique story that is going to contribute to our audience who is in venture capital as well as startup. So I'm eager to dive into your stories. Haya, let's start with you. Give a little introduction to our audience and a little bit about what you do, and then we'll pivot to Lama and we'll dive right into your insights. So, Haya, go ahead.
Thank you. Firstly, thanks for having us. So my name's Haya Almana, and I am from Kuwait, a very small, oil-rich country, very well known previously for being in the news in the early 90s for being invaded, and we had a huge let's say representation just for that. But what people don't know is that we come from a very merchant-based community. So we have family businesses and self-made entrepreneurs for hundreds of years. And it's because it's on the coast, it's also a port country where lots of people transited to go from country to country during the Silk Road and whatnot. So I'm here as a leading head of innovation and entrepreneurship at the leading telecommunications company in the region called Zain. And we operate in 8 different countries in the Middle East, as well as the MENA, Northern African region. And through our innovation tracks, we do a lot of things. But mainly today we're here in Silicon Valley to introduce our batch or our 2024 cohort of tech startup founders through our tech startup accelerator, Zain Great Idea, where we start off a boot camp in Kuwait with an amazing array of mentors. We run through a full month of hardcore training and mentoring, and then we have a Super Saturday, which is a demo day.
You lit up on that Super Saturday.
Yes.
We'll get into that a little bit more.
It's so much fun. Maybe Lama, because she's one of our founders that made it through Super Saturday. It's a tense day where they have to pitch to a panel panels of judges so that they can actually get the chance to progress and come to the international accelerator here in Silicon Valley, specifically Palo Alto, with our partners Vibranium VC, and we're here to just integrate and expose our startups as well as take as much learnings and networking opportunities.
So Vibranium VC, that's Zamir Zuko. He's a friend of the show. Great guy. I'm sure you're in good hands. Can't wait to talk more about that. Lama, welcome to the show. You have an exciting story, interesting startup, so we'll talk all about that. But to kind of put some bookends around it, framework around it, tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you have going on.
Thank you for having me, Brian. Thank you for having me and Haya, and thank you, Zain, for allowing us to have this opportunity. So I'm Lama AlOraiman. I'm the CEO and founder of BluDot. We are a space ecosystem, an app that works in the space industry, and I can't wait to talk more about bringing space and tech, and entrepreneurship is like the term that we use instead of entrepreneurship, obviously. I'm a mechanical engineer, but I took that background and shoved it into entrepreneurship because that's the best way to do with it, problem solving and all of that. I'm excited to be here. We've been in Silicon Valley for like 3 days now, and we've been enjoying it so much, especially with Vibranium and the accelerator that we've joined.
Yeah, and you guys are enjoying the coffee shop in downtown Las Gatos. You guys like that? Took some selfies and stuff.
Yeah, the Howl's Moving Castle Cafe. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying your time. I hope we have some good times today, and again, explore what you guys are doing. Hey, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit more about Zain and this initiative, because you're a telecommunications company.
Yes.
How did you get into international business development, putting these cohorts together? And I'm seeing this more and more all over the world. In
Yes.
fact, Zamir and I and Bill Berry of Ignite GTM, we're exploring this a lot more as an opportunity to immerse startups into the Silicon Valley ecosystem.
Right.
But how, it's something usually the governments do, but you're an organization, you're a company, a telecommunication. What was kind of the evolution of that to bring these great startups over?
So it started quite a while back, and Zain prides itself in being a purpose-driven organization, and we're a very human-centric organization. So we really invest in, obviously, knowing that in the future telecommunications. So Brian told me that telco is a very European term, so now I have to keep stopping and saying telecommunications. But telco, in my terms,
We also have a very international
Right.
audience, so you'll get there.
He's protecting me. Actually,
Right.
you're just educating me. I'm the only uneducated one.
So telecommunications is, diluting, and we're all in the know that we need to diversify our options of, revenue generating in different methodologies. And years back, we decided to start integrating, understanding how we can invest in new technologies or co-hire or co-develop with alternate different startups so that we can find that diversification. And also, me coming from a venture capital background, it was my core interest to do so. So we started really thinking about how can we do this? This was not very evident back home or in the region at all. And we're talking almost 15 years ago. Can you imagine 15 years ago, these kinds of accelerators or this network that Lama was talking to you about earlier, these kind of recurrent events, wasn't very valid or evident then. So we decided to take things into hand and really lead that kind of ecosystem change. And we were dedicated as a telecommunications that we really wanted to put it, the map needs to be, especially that we operate in 8 different countries. Mm-hmm. And we had that opportunity. So we started talking to the governments, we started talking to, different players in the community that are interested in investment as well as in technologies. And we decided to just make something of our own and focus on the people. Mm-hmm. And we learned that we had hiccups along the way, by the way. It wasn't an easy journey over the past 15 years. Thankfully, over the past, let's say, 5 to 10 years, it's very, very different because money is evident in this area.
So
however,
when did you come on board? Have you been there this whole time?
Yeah, so I
wow.
actually initiated the accelerator.
So you kind of had this entrepreneurial mindset.
Absolutely, and this is one of the things that we do in my when I'm heading the unit at Zain, is that we focus firstly on entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. So we try to give that entrepreneurial mindset for our employees and our staff, and as well as our outsource entities. and most importantly through our community. And the word community and community building is basically what we really focus on. So it's not just for the accelerator that we run, but even the enterprise work that we do as a telecommunications, as well as the sales and departments and the different let's say distributors that we work with, in addition to the technologies that we utilize.
So let me ask you a question. I love that you are the kind of the internal founder of this idea. Let's go back a little bit further. Quickly tell me a little bit about your venture capital background, and then what was running across your mind when you landed in Zain and said, they need this here. What was the pain point? What was the big opportunity? And the reason why I ask this is oftentimes people are put in a role and they work within the parameters of that role. But you said, no, there's a bigger opportunity here. I'm going to master this and scale this, which then ultimately turned into what it is now, 15 years later, this incredible ecosystem that not many companies are doing now. They outsource it to accelerators, but you've taken that on. That's a big question. So you can just jump in anywhere.
Sure. So no, absolutely. So it's a very funny story, actually. When I first started working in the VC, and mind you, I think there was like only one or two VCs in Kuwait at the time that I was working in, and it was just before the financial crisis in 2008. So in 2007, me and one of my financial analyst friends, nice young Indian chap who was very smart, just came up to me and says, "Hey, the market's going to crash and we're going to be out of jobs very soon. And I think that we need to do something." So I was like, great, let's quit.
Logical.
And I was like, yeah, no, absolutely. Let's get, our indemnities, let's quit and let's start planning our future. And he was like, absolutely, that's the right thing to think about. And within like 3 to 4 months, it's true, it crashed and a lot of people lost their jobs. And I decided just to go on a 6-month world traveling trip and ended up, getting into Zain much later, not thinking that I wanted to be in a corporate. I did not see myself being in a corporate. Now, these two different VCs that were available, one of them was, actually there might have been 2 or 3, but it was a very early stage. People were focusing on PE, which was a private equity, and M&As, and M&A is still very big back home in the region. They're still very, very heavy on mergers and acquisitions. However, the investment scene was the it thing to be part of, and that's what I wanted to be part of. And I loved making deals and negotiating and just analyzing, and the different industries were focused on bio and nanotechnologies and things like that. Way too early in our region. It was way too early. Big money, but the infrastructure and the ecosystem wasn't evident, especially in Kuwait. So when I actually, got on board in Zain, the gap, like you said, was focused on the diversifying our different technologies and trying to merge an open, let's say, innovation culture where we can work with people from outside internally as well. And when I first pitched
hold on, diversifying your technologies.
Yes.
To tell our audience, and when I'm saying our audience, I mean me, tell me what that looks like from somebody who hasn't seen this idea yet. So you have partnerships, you have your C-suite, they're all looking to find additional markets.
Right.
Double click on that statement of opening up more opportunities for your technology.
Absolutely. So we're talking about like 2007, 2008 in the region. It wasn't like Silicon Valley. It was like you guys were already ahead. You're utilizing many different devices, technologies, tools that are advanced. For us, we were just into the BlackBerry theme. Now, it's a very rich country, and mind you, one fact that I want to declare is that Kuwaitis, I think, are the highest users of the internet worldwide, and people have a minimum of 2 or 3 mobile lines, and I'm not even tapping on data usage. So you can get a 2 tera data per month. Can you imagine? Would you even use it? Back home, we use
so
that
it was
kind
a very
of.
saturated market.
I don't think any. Yes, excessively saturated. However, the technologies. When I talk about technologies, is like the coding, the development. All of that was still quite weak, and still people used to call it computer science rather than the tech scene. So we needed to stop using SMS, which is the actual messaging systems that we used to use, because we started seeing people, utilizing online like Messenger, and then WhatsApp started coming in, and we knew things that the tools for communication started shifting, and there's so much other opportunities. For example, utilizing our enterprise. Now we have Zain Tech, which is one of our subsidiaries, which focuses on enterprise services. We sell cloud, we sell drones, we sell different tools and robotics and things like that. So
you were tapping into the innovation of the country and tapping into the innovation of the world in order to expand the categories that you serve, because the one that you did serve became saturated.
Absolutely. So this is Zain itself. However, going back to your first question, which is how did we find that gap? Now, it wasn't an easy journey, even internally, because I had to pitch. Like you said, I was like an entrepreneur. So I went up to our management and we asked, could we start this fund for technologies? And it was completely rejected. And now, today, when I look back at it, now I see it was the smartest decision that the management did, because it was the wrong time. So I had to take a few step backs and repitch. And when we repitched, we decided to word it as, hey, listen, let's start a program that would accelerate, technologies through startups and focus on the entrepreneurs. And that way, maybe we can create a community and see which ones we like best to partner with. And that led off, and we built a partnership with the government, with different, internal groups.
I could feel myself just wanting to geek out and just completely derail the show, but I love this. Is so fascinating. So you reposition the proposal as a startup hub and attracting startups and innovators to provide resource and access. Kind of like what was the first motions to market with this new idea?
So it was, listen, we need to enhance the ecosystem for entrepreneurs, and specifically we want to focus on tech. However, it's open to entrepreneurs to build a community, to advance, and we played on the national aspect, because we are a national company as well, and we pride Kuwaitis after maybe football, they other than that, they will always, talk about their love for their country. So we also built that kind of tone that we want to make our country strong. We want to make the technologies for the future, because let's go back to the basics. We're an oil-rich country, and over 90% of our, socioeconomic outcomes are based on the private, or the public outcomes to the gas and the oil industry. However, when we look at the Western world, over 80% of the GDPs are based on the small and medium enterprises. So we know that the government was also focusing on trying to build a ready, let's say, infrastructure for startup scenes, so that we can build a bigger percentile for people to work in their private companies.
That's amazing. And so I'm going to start to weave together a story at this point. So, Lama, I want you to kind of come in now. You've heard what Haya is describing at the evolution of this, and you now have kind of are the benefactor of this journey. What was the intersection of where you became an entrepreneur and startup, and then the intersection of Zain? Give us a little run up to a little bit of your background, your startup, and then how were you attracted to Zain, and how has that journey been? Another big question.
Yeah, definitely. So I've joined ZGI this year, 2024. And before that, I was really inspired by previous ZGIers, because they're one of the most well-known entrepreneurs in Kuwait. Like they have the biggest projects, they're the most active, they're very well spoken, they know how to pitch, they know how to sell their products. So we were very inspired by them. We were inspired by people who are young, talented, and just driven. And ZGI always encapsulated that. So whenever you see someone who is impressive, you see the ZGI sticker on their car, So you know that it's something you want to jump on if you're an enthusiastic, let's say, young person that has an idea and wants to even be introduced to entrepreneurship. And before doing that, I was connected to Haya, and I was just new to that field. Again, I come from a scientific tech background, been in the space industry, so I wasn't really that much. I didn't have a lot of knowledge about entrepreneurship and business. So I headed to Haya's office, and ZGI didn't start yet. So I wanted it to start as soon as possible. Like I wanted to get the most out of this program. And I sat with her and I told her that, hey, I want to do this. I want to learn. I know that the Zain is the go-to place to ask these questions if you want to, let's say, kickstart your career in entrepreneurship.
So just to kind of paraphrase what you said, you're super early stage.
True.
Did you have a team at that point, or you were just like, no, help me with that too? But you had a team.
Yeah.
You got some FaceTime with Haya and said, look, I know what I know and I know what I don't know, and we feel like this is a good fit.
Exactly.
And you pretty much got your way in. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, exactly. So I had an idea. We had a problem. We had an opportunity. I've raised that to Haya and I told that to Haya, and I had my team, like a co-founder, a small team. And I told her that, hey, we want to do this. We don't know where to start. So she advised us to join the accelerator. And first we joined the accelerator in Kuwait before coming here. And now we're doing that. And it helped us tremendously.
You joined when?
It was 1 month ago, right?
It was. We launched in August,
and that's
we
this
started
cohort.
This cohort.
How many cohorts do you have a year or quarter?
We do one cohort a year. However, we have a sub cohort, so we take the alumni. We don't want to forget our alumni as well. So what we do, because we found that. So it's great to come to Silicon Valley, and we do the learning process for some of them are early stage, but we have advanced startups who have grown dramatically around the region. And what we've done is we've found a way to keep that connection, and we take them regionally. So we do either fundraising or connecting them to different businesses, or integrating them to our, alternate different operations.
I think, well, in Lama's case, did you even have a product yet, or have they helped you?
We were building an MVP.
You're building an MVP?
Yeah, we're still building it, like at very early stage. And yeah, it helped us a lot to just redirect. And the first thing that Haya told me is that once you join the accelerator, you either close shop or you pivot. We haven't pivoted yet, but I'm worried that we're going to pivot in Silicon Valley. So.
Wow. Okay, so you take on pretty early stage companies, and we're going to come back. I want you to finish the story, like what got you into what you're doing now. Why do you love startup? Where was the pain point you saw? But you take companies, pretty early.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
do they show up with the napkin idea, or do they have to have some sort of traction?
No, they do have to have at least an MVP or prototype, minimum. That's what we request. And usually the ones that have actually launched and have some traction, they usually tend to get the best outcomes because they win over the judges' responses to take to the next level here in Silicon Valley, and then further to the investor demo day when you go back to Kuwait. However, we want to give everybody the opportunity because we're such a small country, and we feel like that we have that responsibility. We have that tech and investment responsibility specifically for our community that we've built. We also won the best ecosystem builder in the region in 2023, and we want to live up to that title. So what we do is the bootcamp. We have a lot of entrants, over 100. And then we filter them down, and then the ones that sustain are around 60 to almost sometimes 70, and then they enter the boot camp in Kuwait. So there's a learning and a knowledge basis there, so that they can actually develop and learn along the way. We don't want to limit that opportunity, and mind you, this is all offered to them without a cost or without an expense, and seeming that we do want to make sure that they have that opportunity. A lot of them come back the second year with a more revised, let's say, or some traction.
Ones that don't make
yes,
it,
exactly.
They'll come back.
Yes, they do.
I had a question, but I lost it. But that's that's getting older.
I'm curious.
Sure.
You say that they can come and participate at no cost and no expense to them.
Yeah.
How is that being funded then? Where does the money come from that they're able to do this? It sounds amazing, but how are you able to do that?
So we've had a few other. We have a lot of accelerators from Silicon Valley around the world, Boeing and PayPal and all of them. They came to Plug and Play. They all came to our accelerator just to visit to review, and they were stunned with this remark as well. So it's part of our let's say corporate investment responsibility as well, to make sure that we are definitely committed to grow this ecosystem. So that's one part of it, because it is coming back in return. Now, part of it is we do take equity in once upon we return to Kuwait after our international accelerator, we have that option. So we have option of first right of refusal. We have option of, so one thing that the evolution, like you said, of this accelerator was we also created a innovation center, and then we launched our venture, corporate venture. So our Zain Ventures is our CVC. So now it's become a full picture, and from a concept that you said was led by an entrepreneurial idea to diversify our equities or our interests, now has a full cycle within the organization. And when we get back, there is also that opportunity for co-development. So a lot of our companies we co-develop, and we have partnerships, packages, and revenue that is generating back into our organization. So
that's so cool. So my question is, are these startups, the 100 that apply, are they all in your space, or is it a diverse group of startups that you take in, or is it just within your
previously
market?
it was so it took us a while for us. So the community or the market wasn't ready for completely tech over the past 15 years. Now 2015 was the tipping point where it was completely tech. Now when we say tech, yes, we will have mandates, which is fintech, health tech, ed tech, the whole works, insurtech. These are our interests as Zain. However, we keep it open because we've gotten lots of diverse, such as, astrotech, like Lama is saying. And we don't want to lose the link with this community. And we want to make sure that everybody also has these opportunities. And we have a lot that are within retail or within market space or within fintechs. And they're growing dramatically. So we want to make sure that we are providing the right tools for these startups and founders to grow and make it big. And it really makes me proud to hear Lama say, one of the reasons, it's the first time I hear her say it, one of the reasons we wanted to enter, because we know that the outcomes of these founders, because they were part of this accelerator, ZGI, they tend to always be successful. And that's our aim.
Yeah, that's a great brand. I mean, this idea that if startups coming out of Kuwait go through your program, we resonate with that success and that track record. So I want to get into how you built that community, how you got acknowledged for it in a little bit. But Lama, I want to go back to you. Tell us a little bit more about your product. What got you into startup? What was kind of your state in life? I mean, a lot of people, you were mentioned before, Haya, is that you were going to get laid off and you left. And a lot of people who are going through transitions have this spark of innovation. So I'm curious, what drove your innovation? What was kind of leading up to that? And then what has been the experience as a young entrepreneur startup?
Yeah, so I've started working in the space industry for 8 years. And at that time, I used to work on engineering, tech, kind of problem solving, you name it, all kinds of space missions. I started diving into policies, space law, all of that to make sure that Kuwait has a space
law.
Space law, yeah.
Oh.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Yeah. There's law for everything.
Brian, you blew my mind. You just blew my mind. Thank you.
No one gives you power. They give you authority.
Yeah.
Right? That's what space law is getting the authority that you need.
Exactly. So yeah, I tried different things in the industry itself, and then I found myself focusing on wanting Kuwait to have a space agency. Now, being that and having a social media, let's say I was very active and I started to make a name for myself in the field, both nationally and internationally. And I was invited to speak at a Forbes Women's Summit. And when I did, I was talking mainly about space and space law and how to do that and how to start a space agency and why we need that. And I found myself being so inspired by people in Forbes who already have businesses, successful ones, and how much they were able to contribute to society by just having a business and not waiting around for things to happen. Like, for example, in my case, if I was waiting around for a space agency to start and to have a job at a space agency, I would have been waiting for a very, very long time. So I now have the opportunity and take the matter into my own hands and start something. Now, going there and speaking, I noticed that I was speaking about the opportunity, how much opportunity we have and what the problems are and what are the pains are. And this just sparked the interest in me. So I flew back to Kuwait from the summit. And on the plane, I was just having the screen, the 3D map. You just see Earth rotating. And I was just staring at it for hours. I was inspired. Like, I wanted to connect Earth with space, and I want to make it easy. How can I do that? I was very inspired by people there. I want to create an app. I know that apps make things faster, easier, and this is where the idea was born. And this is what got me into entrepreneurship. So now I shifted from mainly focusing on engineering to going into entrepreneurship, and I found out that having this background actually helped me learn more faster and be more efficient with it. And even the problem-solving skills that I've already had, I was able to implement them in my business.
So I think this is a good time to, Brian, let's take a quick little break. And then when we come back, we're going to get your pitch, and then we'll dive into like where this idea came from, what's inspiring, why are you passionate about it, and where you see it going.
Sure.
Sound good? All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and when we were off air again, we tackled all the good stuff. We're laughing and having a good time, so we'll bring that back here. But before we went to break, we were going to listen to Lama give BluDot the pitch. And before you give the pitch, I need to ask this. Maybe I missed it. So you have ZGI pin on your shirt, and then there's ZGI, and then there's Zain. What's the distinction? I might have missed it.
So Zain is the telecom company that
perfect.
we got it there, right? So we're the telecom company, and ZGI is an accelerator that is led by Zain. So it's one of our projects, or let's say what's our tech startup accelerator. We also have Zinc, which is our Zain Innovation Center, and we also have Zain Ventures. So this is the ecosystem that we've built, and we're pushing out the startup scene and technology and digital transformation that we're focusing on. So ZGI is short for, or an acronym for Zain Great Idea.
Okay. Well, when I see you guys, I'll see you again in a couple of days. I think I see you on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
I got to get some ZGI or Zain swag so I can be repping, because you guys are great. You're crushing, and I love what you're doing. And so, Lama, let's go through the pitch. So I'll give you maybe 2 minutes. Don't.
Oh, 2 minutes. I thought it was 1 minute. I'll do it in 1 minute.
I gave you a little leg room. Okay, but yeah, just give your pitch.
Sure.
Stay away from the ask, as I said before. But we'll put on our VC and angel hat and kind of give you feedback. But the floor is yours.
Yeah. So BluDot was born to solve a problem in the space industry, which is inaccessibility, the lack of a unified platform that connects service providers with international customers, and lengthy and expensive processes. We also are jumping on an opportunity that the space industry is booming and expected to reach $1 trillion by 2040, especially in the Middle East, which is currently sitting at $25 billion and is growing rapidly every single year by 10%. BluDot was born to act as an ecosystem and as a one-stop shop for the space industry, taking your mission all the way from the garage to the launch pad and finally into space, making space literally just one click away. That's the shortest version I can give.
I deserve to be here, and I'm worthy of being here, and whatever I don't know, I can learn.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
No. You're jumping on my soundbite, man. I don't know how to keep up with you.
It blew my mind. I love it. Okay, all right. Well,
if you want the longer version, I have the presentation, and I can go ahead with the ask.
I'm going to ask for a little bit of the longer version, because that sounded very simple.
Yeah.
And so I can take it from the garage to the launch pad into space. Perfect. But can I ask for a little bit more detail, Brian? Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Go ahead. Ask.
I just want to know,
Q&A session.
Who is it that you're thinking is going to use this one-click solution to get from the garage into space, right? Like, that's not me for sure. It definitely ain't Brian. Yeah. And so
good question.
Yeah,
who's your target market?
Who we're looking at?
Yeah, who's your target market?
So definitely universities, students, space industry professionals. Mm-hmm. I know this sounds niche, but there are a lot of people that are currently sending CubeSats into space. A lot of universities, especially in our region. Now, the problem is it takes a long time to get one project done. You don't know who to connect with, and you should always, like the space industry is kind of gate-kept. So you have to know your people around. It took me exactly 8 years to build the connections that I know today to send one project into space. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of connections. Now, we want to make this simple. It should be accessible to everyone, especially that is growing. Why can't you have everything on one app and facilitate your mission from the idea phase until execution, and then finally sending it to space and even booking the spot and getting the right license and everything you need?
Okay, I like it. So Brian, great question.
I have another one.
Yeah.
Can I follow up?
He's feeling himself. Okay,
Well,
go for it.
I love the topic, A. B, who wants to send things to space? What is happening? Like, who are the people? Give me some examples of things that are going to want to go to space.
He's
Guys,
bearing down on that target market. Yeah.
Perfect.
You're a natural, Brian, by the way. That's a great question.
That is a really good question.
Well, because I immediately leap to space tourism for human beings, but then I'm remembering, oh yeah, there's a ton of satellites and exploration and research that's going on, and so I jumped immediately to tourism, but that's not the case.
Brian, this was our discussion earlier today. We were just talking about, if you don't mind me just jumping in, we had a long discussion with the group about space tourism, how accessible it is, but, the first question was, how do I get to it from, her colleagues, and this is something that she's also providing.
Yep. So what can we send to space? That's the question. Research, education, or simply things you want to market. So for example, there was a company that sends a burger to space. So if you're a burger shop, you can send your burger to space, and people would use that for marketing reasons.
You just blew my mind.
A hamburger.
Yeah, true.
You can I can send a hamburger to space.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. Okay.
So that's one way to look at it. Now, there's a lot of research and education, and mainly universities want to do that for capacity building. So instead of making kids create projects in the lab and never seeing how that impacts life on Earth or science in general, they help them build these CubeSats. So the CubeSat is just like this size, right? Mm-hmm. And then
about the size of a lunchbox, an old school lunchbox.
Exactly. It's very small. You just have to have a Raspberry Pi there, circuit it, give it a brain, and then send it into space, and then get data.
Oh, is that all? Of course. I knew how to do that. Brian, didn't you know how to do that?
No, I mean, seriously, of course you do that. I mean, goes without saying, you just got to give it a brain.
I put the burger in space this morning.
It's getting much easier with the implementation of AI. Mm-hmm. So more universities are doing that because they want to build a future where kids have hands-on experience with space and technology. Now, this is the future. I mean, it's not the future anymore, it's the present. So people are sending things for research. People are sending things not only to low Earth orbit, but also to the International Space Station. So for example, I have a research on Earth. I don't want to go to space. I want to send this research to an astronaut on the International Space Station to create that research for me and to do it for me, or that experiment, let's say, and then send it back to Earth. I get the data, and then voila, I have a complete research.
So you're creating...
I think the guys on the and gals on the International Space Station right now are hoping that you're going to send them a burger.
Yeah. So
right, like that's hope that they're like, oh, can that please be our next shipment?
Yeah.
So you're creating the carrier pigeon essentially at this point, and then it's going to progress. And the simplicity of that is kind of your first step to market. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. So here's the thing. Not all space missions and projects have to go to space. Many of them are done on Earth. So you have, let's say, analog astronauts. These astronauts are on Earth. They train on Earth, and they have space agencies studying them and how they behave in confined and isolated environments, and taking that research to astronauts that are going to space. Mm-hmm. Now, these are still space missions, but people don't know how to become an analog astronaut. So we're also connecting them to these facilities that help them train, or to, in the future, down the line, become actual astronauts and go to space. So a lot of missions, both on Earth and off the ground. It's a huge market. A lot of things are happening under that. So people are way more engaged. The youth is way more engaged. It used to be just scientists, but now literally space is for everyone. And this is what we're preaching. This is what we want everyone to know. Space is for all. So you have the right to go. I mean, we all want to go, right? Do you want to go, Brian?
I'm thinking about it now. Well, that's amazing. And so what I'm hearing is
I'd like to go when the time comes.
Let's
if you need
go.
a volunteer, just let me know.
Let's go.
I love it. So you're targeting a younger audience to kind of facilitate more innovation. I mean, I think I was 13 when I set off my first bottle rocket. I mean, I got a long way to go. But hey, I want to look to you for the first VC hat question. Sure. You heard her pitch. Mm-hmm. Where do you begin with the feedback and breaking down what's next?
So, when she pitched to our judging panel, they were blown away. And the reason why is because she stands out as a person, right? She's very well in the know of what she wants to do and how she wants to present her company. Now, a little constructive criticism here, and she takes it from me because we go through this a lot. I would have loved to hear her say her story as well, her background, to start off with, because it's an amazing story, and this is why we invested so heavily in Lama, and we're proud of her and where she's reached today is because, she's a young woman who's built her background from scratch in a space where literally a desert, because we are a desert at the end of the day. And without the opportunity, we don't have a space agency back home and whatnot, but we have an amazing resources from our governments to support us, and a great community of people who love people who shine, and she's one of that. So that's one thing. Another thing about Lama is that she, like Brian said, oh wow, space law, so she's delving into not just knowing how to create her actual product or her startup, but also she's gotten that kind of, it's the grit aspect. She wants to know a bit of everything. She wants to be, in the trend. She wants to understand everything. So she knows the answers before we even ask them. And this is something that we love about Lama as well. She's very well knowledgeable in what she's doing. And she's so passionate. And I think the word passionate is very important when it comes to the startups that we heavily invest in. We're not investing in startups, by the way. Zain's mandate, again, I go back to our values, which are heart, belonging, and radiance. And heart is reflected towards caring and courage, and belonging is the community. You asked me about community and the family orientation that we want to build within our partnerships and the people that we're with, and even internally as well. And lastly, radiance is these star people, who create these star concepts and these star startups that will actually make a change and an impact for the world. And we're not looking at just for what our organization wants, but actually how she will impact our country, our region, our people, the diversity, the inclusion. These are things that we focus on as well. And she fits all those, criterias, and we're very proud of her.
I'm amazed by your vision of where you're going with this, Brian. I know you're chomping at the bit to ask a question.
No. I thought that was a very eloquent description of what you guys do, and a very apt and appropriate and kind description of Lama, who is sitting here radiating and knowing all of the answers, and really truly bringing a heart-centered product or service into this room anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. So I'll see you guys on this coming Friday, and I get to see all the startups. I'm going to be giving you feedback. So I want to give you one now, kind of how I would approach this as an investor, and I don't know how much you're asking for. My question would be towards the infrastructure. You have this one-stop shop, but what's it build on, and how would you gain confidence from your investors without the infrastructure? I mean, you talked about schools, but there's a lot of research. Give me a little insight to kind of how you're going to build upon an infrastructure that's not yet there, and correct me if I'm wrong, if it already is in play.
Yeah. So there is no space marketplace, and the competition, or the ones that do exist, operate in regions that don't include the Middle East, for example. So that was the problem. Haya mentioned the story aspect. So the story is, I wanted to build something and send it to space, and I found it almost impossible to lift anything off the ground, literally. So this is why we wanted to bring this over and to tap into that market, to make it accessible to everyone. Now, regarding how the MVP works, or what exactly are we doing, we are creating an app, but we're also consulting people who are on the app on how to build their space mission, because we know that mostly not everyone knows who to approach in order to get something out there, right? So how we want to do this is by literally creating an ecosystem. Now, we already have a number of companies that are really interested in that because they're never introduced to these markets. They're probably only in Europe mainly because it's a very heavily driven region in space, and also in the US. But they want to be introduced to these markets. They want to be introduced to these people, and especially we call them emerging space nations. There is an ecosystem. People are actually asking for this product the minute that we announced it. So people are excited to have it. They want to have it. They believe that it's going to make their lives easier. And nobody that we've talked to in the industry itself, we're talking to people who are young professionals who hasn't said, yes, this is something that we need and we want to see happening. And the companies as well, the biggest, it's either big companies or even space startups that are just building, let's say, manufacturing CubeSats or manufacturing solar panels. They want to be there, and this is what we want to do. Create a market, make it grow, make it accessible for everyone, and just see it how that takes off,
I love, as again, I want to speak from the perspective of an investor, and you said this earlier, Haya. One thing that I think a lot of investors look for is founder fit. It's not talked about enough. They just want the data, they want the idea, they want traction, they want market, they want that technical stuff, right? But hey, I think you'll agree with me. Absolutely. The founder fit here, your vision, your ability to see a bigger picture, a better world to live in, essentially, is phenomenal. And you're 26. I mean, I'm amazed. And this has to be one of the criteria that you look for, is that you look for amazing individuals and amazing teams.
We're definitely looking at, the character, the hustler, the salesperson as well. They need to know how to sell themselves and their product. And most importantly, the person who actually knows to be coachable. And actually flexible when it comes to pivoting. I'm not sure because the same question you had, we asked Lama, and she smiled when you asked her, because I'm sure she remembered when we had that for our VC feedback when we do our mentoring. It was the same question, because we still don't know. It's still an MVP. So we will only know when she goes completely live. She does have traction already on the ground. And she is already doing consulting. They're already making great, money, which is great. But taking it online is a totally different concept. And this is where we will know, and how will she be, flexible enough to pivot. And that's one of her concerns. Am I going to pivot here in Silicon Valley? My actual feedback to you is it's not just about here in Silicon Valley. You need to launch to actually understand what the market fit is, and they will, because it's very new. I mean, definitely and one of the other questions that we asked you previously was, is this available? Is there others who actually conduct this kind of practices or this kind of companies? And you said yes, but nothing in a one-stop shop. So let's see, and hopefully, the best of luck when you go live.
Most of us hear the idea, and we ask these, fundable questions. Is this idea fundable? But I go back to what you said, Lama, in the beginning, is what you were looking at, that 3D picture of the world. And I don't think it's just a market you're looking at. You're like, how can I impact the world with this? And I love that mindset. So I can't wait to see where you land next. I got one more question for you. Well, one more question directly for you. And then I want to pivot to a topic that you're both apparently really good at. You mentioned building community. You're award-winning. You spent 8 years, Lama, building your connection. I want to get to that. But before we dive into that particular conversation, I want to ask you, Lama, what is it about space, this idea of entrepreneurship, do you love? Where is this coming from within your soul?
So it's very exciting. I mean, everyone gets excited when they hear space. There's a lot of questions. We never know enough about it, and it makes it just hypnotizing, I guess. Every time, since I was young, every time someone talks about space, or whenever I go stargazing or just look at the stars, I feel this kind of sense in me. It's something so romantic, but at the same time, it's something so beautiful, and we want to discover that. Although, sometimes working directly in space, you forget how beautiful it is because you're just focused on technicality. But again, I feel like I've always had this something that's pulling me towards this field, especially that it does not exist in our region. It made it even more special. And as a person who's stubborn, I feel like I've always wanted, you know what, since it doesn't exist, I want to at least start a conversation about this thing and make it happen. I'm completely in love with space, and Haya knows that. I thought that at some point I'm gonna get tired of it and I'm gonna switch into something else. And I feel like both space and entrepreneurship have the same amount of risk. You never know if a mission is gonna fail or not. It can fail the minute it's on the ground before even launching. It can really go into complete disaster by just having engines on. So I really don't know. And it's the same with entrepreneurship. There's risk and there's excitement. And I feel like I chase the excitement. You know?
I love the smile on your face.
Right.
You're radiating, you're beaming like a star. I love that. Thank you for sharing that insight. And I loved how you just kind of balled up your fist at your gut to emphasize where this is coming from, like this passion within you, this fire. You said, we have about 6 minutes left, and I want to talk quickly about this, that you took about 8 years to build your network. Talk real quickly about this community design approach to getting the right people around you and what went into that.
Yeah, so definitely being introduced into space was really difficult with, again, no background in that and in a country that doesn't have, let's say, a space agency or a center or not even education in that field. But I found some non-governmental organizations like the Space Generation Advisory Council, the International Astronautical Federation. I joined these online, tried to work online, met incredible people from all around the world who also had the same problem as me in accessibility to the field. And then I started being invited to these places and I started taking up roles. So I used to work literally like more than 70 hours a week, morning till night, just working on different projects in space just to be able to meet these incredible people who work there. And I found myself just jumping from one position to another and making my way higher in the hierarchy, let's say, of each organization. And I found myself being way more involved, and I decided that I want to bring that back to Kuwait. So I had the opportunity to leave and to live abroad where space is accessible. But again, I have a message, I guess, and a mission that I want to bring that back home. And this is what I'm trying to do. So this is how I started, and it's been 8 years. And again, I told you that I jumped from one field to another within space. So it's always that. Now I'm going also on a mission as an analog astronaut. So I'm training on ground on like space simulation missions or moon simulation missions. So I'm trying different things, and it's annually representing Kuwait internationally in the space scene. So yeah, it's been a lot of.
So I heard something interesting, and maybe this is why I love the startup ecosystems. And Haya, see if you agree with this. I heard you said at some point you fell in love with space. There's that was for you. But then you fell in love, you became a fan of the people who were also in that space. I don't know if that resonates.
It's like a cult, you know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's the easiest way you can say it. You become so tight-knit with the people that you're around. I see that in our ZGIers and the people that work with us through this, through the cohorts that we launch. And they've been here for 3 days, traveling together for the first time ever. Some of them, it's the first time they meet each other, only through the boot camp where, it was much more spacious and lots more people. So some of them didn't mingle as much. And they're like a family, and like they're running together in the morning, they're going on treks, they're, suddenly there's this...
there's a bond.
There's a bond. It's an evident bond. And I really believe that, yes, birds of a feather flock together, but at the end of the day, they're growing and they're learning. And the best part of our accelerator, and I say this a million times, is the network that they built amongst themselves as startups. And we've had many of them that actually come back and they partner with each other, or they become CTO of somebody else's company, or they build a new venture together. And that's the actual, the richest value that they attain, and the richest value that we get out of it as well, because it's a great return on investment for us.
So I have to ask you before we run out of time for our audience, when you started this program,
right,
you intentionally set out to build community, and you've been awarded a recognition for having a great community.
Yes, we're very proud of that.
What is the intentionalities that you set to build this ecosystem so that people, when they're looking to community design, can kind of take away from your experience? What are some of those high level insights?
We give. That's the first thing we do. So our focus as, people see us as a corporate or an organization. They will always think that us running an accelerator is based on us wanting investment back, right? Which is true. But we want the value in it to sustain. So the first thing that we tell them is that we will take you to the next level, and we will utilize all our resources to help you reach the level that you want with nothing in return for now, until you gain the value that you need. So we're givers, and that's part of our promise. And I think that has built the connection, the trust. Trust is important. And just that exposure to our network, to our expertise, to our resources. And I think they've also believed in us as people who are running the programs, that we're very dedicated to them.
So you've provided service, access, and it's paid off.
Absolutely.
And so what's next for the program?
So we have Zain Ventures, our corporate VC with us in Silicon Valley here. He's scouting now. He's checking out all the startups. Lama's smiling because she knows that she's being eyed every day by our VC
You're under
team.
the microscope now, yeah.
So his time here is dedicated to do that, to just like scout. And our next level is to either co-develop or equity and moving forward. But we're here for the long run. Even if we don't invest cash or co-develop, we will definitely find them through our partners, some sort of partnerships and investments.
I love it. And so before we sign off, Lama, how can our audience get connected with you? What's the best way?
My Instagram is the most active one. I know people say LinkedIn, but I'm Generation Z, so
give us the LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Give me your LinkedIn handle.
Lama AlOraiman.
I'm not doing it. I'm not actually saying anything. I'm just saying that she's young, so Instagram is her preference, right? I mean, it's a
Both
generational
LinkedIn
thing.
and,
So
yes.
Instagram on what? What was it?
LamaAlOraiman.
Okay,
Lama AlOraiman.
Nice. And how can people learn more about Zain and get a hold of you? Yeah.
They can connect with me directly on LinkedIn for the professional aspect. I'm not so active as I used to be when I was younger. Like Lama, I used to be so much more active on Instagram.
You mean you're not on TikTok and doing
I'm definitely on
lip singing?
Instagram. We love Instagram back home in Kuwait. They can definitely connect. They can just type Haya Almana on both LinkedIn and Instagram. They should find me, and they're welcome to connect.
Awesome. Brian, how we doing?
Yes.
It's got to be your theme song, right?
Of course.
All right, Brian, I think we've...
All right, here we go.
All right. Well, that was a great show. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Haya.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lama. You both are amazing. Thank you for joining us on Silicon Valley Impact. We'll see you all here next week. Take care. Be safe.
Hang tight.